Hello and welcome to Thursday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic. Now, there are some Sudoku constructors who deserve the label genius, and one of those is Bastien from France. I'm sure if you've been following the channel for any length of time or you've tried our Killer Sudoku app, you will know exactly of what I speak. Bastien's puzzles they're ridiculous. They are ridiculous. They are the epitome of elegance and so exceptionally clever. He's one of those setters that makes me feel like a novice quite often when I'm solving the puzzle, because although you can sort of find the logic, you find it so slowly, and it's a constant case of do. Anyway, I do love his puzzles, and many of you have pointed out to me the existence of this one in the last few days, Bastien's blog, which has been dormant for years, literally years. He's suddenly started publishing puzzles on it again, and at this time especially, this is an absolute boon to the world of puzzle solvers. And he calls this one the Jail, and it's an example of something called Fortress Sudoku, which is not it's a variant that I am aware of, but I don't know if we've ever solved one on the channel, and I certainly haven't done a Fortress Sudoku for years. So you are going to be seeing me at my in a novice-like state, fighting a puzzle by Bastien, which makes me feel like even more like an infant, so goodness only knows how long this video will be. But basically, as soon as I heard that this puzzle was out, the mere knowledge of its existence compels me to try it, so I'm very much looking forward to giving it a go, and you should all try it, believe me, this will be a treat. Before we get cracking, some potentially exciting news if you're a patron of the channel over on Patreon. We have a new puzzle hunt that we're ready to share with you. This has been created by Reverend, whose Sudokus I think have appeared on the channel 3 times, I think, and he's a very well respected name over on our Discord server. Well, this is a really nice puzzle hunt. It's more focused on logic puzzles and on code breaking than Sudoku, but there is some Sudoku in there as well. And Mark suggested to me that we should release it, I think he said the 22nd of January. But I thought what we might do is that if we hit a target on Patreon, so if we hit 3,333 patrons, we will release it immediately. So anyone who hasn't pulled the trigger on becoming a patron and who might be able to consider doing it, then please do consider doing it. It helps us to do what we do every day on the channel. And we're hugely grateful to those of you who felt able over the years and months to give us support there. So anyone who might be interested, do think about it, and we'll try and get that puzzle hunt released early. But if we don't reach it, it'll come out in a couple of weeks' time anyway. Now, what are the rules of Bastien's puzzle? We have got normal Sudoku rules apply. In cages, digits sum to the value in the top left corner of the cage, and no digit can repeat within a cage. A digit in a shaded cell, this is the fortress part, so we've got normal Killer Sudoku rules to this point. Only 4 cages in the grid. And then we've got the fortress rule, which is a digit in a shaded cell must be greater than all the digits in orthogonally adjacent unshaded cells. Right, so what this means is, let's imagine this square was a 5. The orthogonally adjacent cells are those 4 cells, and those 4 cells have to be lower than 5. So they'd have to be from 1, 2, 3, and 4. They don't have to be the set of digits 1, 2, 3, and 4. They don't have to be different. So we could make, that could be 1, and that could be 1, that could be 2, and that could be 2. That would be absolutely fine, I think. But basically, all these 4 cells have to be lower than the digit we put in the grey one. So that is, let's actually just reset it. That's the way the fortress rule works. Do have a go. The way to play, of course, is to click the link under the video, as always, on Cracking the Cryptic. And with that, I get to play. Let's get cracking and see how we go. And immediately I see that Bastien has been generous with the killer cages. A 16 cage in 5 cells must be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. And a 34 cage in 5 cells must be 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I guess with Fortress Sudoku that you have to think about the high digits more seriously than the low digits. The reason I say that is obviously, if this square is a 4, for example, you know those squares have to be higher than 4, but this square, on the other hand, its symmetrical counterpart, is seeing 3 grey squares, so this can't be a high digit. It just can't be. In fact, if we make that even a 7, the puzzle's broken, because you can't put you could put 8 and 9 into 2 of those squares, but the third one would have to be a 10, or it would have to be another 8 or 9, and that doesn't work. So this square is a little bit restricted. Now, what does that mean? It means that... You see, I should have done some practice on World Sudoku before I attempted a puzzle by Bastien, because I've just seen something really obvious that I'm sure many of you spotted instantly, but it's taken me a moment to work it out. 9 in the 34 cage could never be next to a grey cell, because obviously if this was a 9, you'd have to put 10 in the grey cell. So 9 is not there. So 9 is in one of those two positions, which I might pencil mark that. I don't like to pencil mark across boxes very often, but here it might be useful. Now, what next? Can we do anything else? Oh, yes we can. Sorry. This square can't be 6 either, can it? Now, this can't be 6, because if this is 6, those 3 squares are fine. We can fill those with some combination of 7, 8 and 9. But then we run into a big problem with this domino, because all we are allowed to put in this domino now, given that 6, 7, 8 and 9 are unavailable, is 4. And I can't put 4 into 2 cells for very many reasons. So don't do that. This is not 6. This is 4. And that is our first digit. And in fact, look, we can do a few eliminations off the back of that. And we can... we can go further. Now let's think about this 4 in the context of the grey cells that surround it. These 3 squares have to be greater than 4. So where do we put the digits that have to be less than 4 in box 6 of the grid? There are 3 of them, 1, 2 and 3. Well, they've got to go in those 3 squares then. So that's a 1, 2, 3 triple, which, it's already quite close to a quintuple in row 6 of the grid, look. Just need one more cell. I'm not seeing it. These squares have obviously got to be higher than 4, therefore. So these are 4, 6, 7, 8 or 9. 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9 even. Now... Sorry about this, just a moment. This one can't be 5. In fact, this one can't be 6 either, because it's got to be higher than that square. And that square is at least 6, so this square is at least 7. So this is 7, 8 or 9. I feel like that should reveal something to me. I'm not sure that it does. This square also, actually both of these squares have to be at least 7, don't they? Because they are adjacent to a square that must be at least a 6. And that one can't be 7. Gosh, I feel like I'm learning this afresh. This can't be 7, because if this is 7, both of those squares would have to be 6, and that's not possible because it breaks the rules of the killer Sudoku cage. We can only put 1 6 in the cage, so this is not 7. This is an 8 or a 9. Yeah, okay, let's keep going. I'm getting there slowly. 9s are in one of these two positions. Okay, well that square can't be a 9 then, because if that's a 9, I can't put 9 in either of those 2 cells anymore. That's fairly clear, isn't it? So that's not 9. So I'm whittling away at these cells, going down this grey diagonal. Can we go further than that? We're almost getting sort of triples on the high digits emerging. 5 must be in one of those cells. $27, is that restricted? Does 27 in 5 cells have to have a 9 in it? No, in fact, nowhere near. Nowhere near. 87654 adds up to 30. So this is not... In fact, that's an exceptionally unuseful cage. As is 24 in 5 cells. That's really interesting. So these two cages, I don't think, can be part of the break-in. Please don't let them be part of the break-in. That can't be part of the break-in because it's just too small. So there must be more we can do up here, I think. We just have to work out what it is. What is it? We can come on, think. I've got to put 9 into one of these squares. That means 9, I suppose, is not in any of those 3 positions because these 3 cells see both of those squares. So 9 in row 5, it can be here, here, or here. No, that's not useful either. Here's a little trick. This can't be 8. Because if this is 8, let me show you. If this is 8, I've then got to put 9 in both grey squares. And I can do that under the fortress rules, no worries. But now I can't put a 9 in the 34 cage anymore, because these 9s rule out the possibility. So that square is not 8, which is a minimal deduction, but I think we just have to whittle away at these digits and try and... Yeah, this is lovely. This is lovely. Why is it lovely? Well, now, 8 is pushed into one of these 3 cells. And these 3 cells, a bit like the 9 was eliminated because it sees these squares, well, this square also sees those 3 squares, obviously. If we now try and put 8 in this cell, you cannot put 8 in the 34 cage anywhere. So you can't do that. So this square is a 7, and we get another digit. And we get more digits because that square has to be lower than 7, and therefore it must be 6, which means that one is 7 by Sudoku because it sort of communicates with its friend through the medium of the 34 cage. Now we've got a 6, 7 in the 34 cage. We can get rid of 6, 7, so these become an 8, 9 pair. That can't be 7 anymore. We've got 8, 9 pairs now in columns 6 and 7. We've got 6, 7 being ruled out of those squares. We've got 7 being plonked into one of those 3 positions in box 4, look. But 6 doesn't quite work as well. 6 could go in the 16 cage. We can't assume the 6 is in those 3 cells. What on earth do we do now? We've got... This square's got to be less than 7. That is not... That's just not a big restriction. 27 cage. The 27 cage now can't have a 7 in it. Look, they've got 7s in those 2 positions, ruling out 7. Does that mean it's got to have a 9 in it? 7. If there was no... Right, hang on. If there was no 9 or 7 in the 27 cage, it could be 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, which... Yeah, that's 26. 8, 6... So 5, 4... Yeah, we've got 18 plus 8. That is not enough. That is not enough. So there is a 9. So the fact there is no 7 in this cage means there is a 9 in it. And the 9 can't go next to a grey. So there is a 9 in 2 positions now in the 27 cage. Oh, nearly. I just had a really good thought. I thought that was it, and it's not. Bobbins. The thought I had was similar to these 9s. these 9s rule out 9 from those 3 squares. These 9s work the same way. Whichever one of these is a 9, you can't put a 9 in those 3 squares. So in the central box, this cross cannot contain a 9. But I'm not sure we can rule... I think 9 can still go in any one of those 3 positions. I'm not certain about that, but that was 9. That would be 9, 9. That would be 8. There might be a reason that this can't be 9. I can't see what it is. But that feels like it's important to me. Unfortunately, that is not logical. So there's no 7 in there. I really want these 9s rule out this one. They don't rule out this one though, do they? They just don't see it. They don't see any of those twice. No. It's not these. You should be looking at. It's this. There we go. This is nice. The question we need to ask is, can this square be 8? And the answer is no. Because if this is 8, both of these squares become 9. This one, through the medium of the 34 cage, that one's got to be 9. This one by Sudoku. Those 2 9s rule the 9s out entirely of the 27 cage, where we know there must be a 9. So we actually, we get a digit. This is not 8. So this is 9, which means that's 8. That's 8. That's 9. This 9 sees this 9 and plonks the 9 into the 27 cage. 9 now by Sudoku has to be in one of 3 positions down here. Oh, but 9 can't be next to a grey square, so 9 is not in that position. These 2 squares are not 9 anymore, so these are 5 and 8. Oh, look at box 4 of the grid. We've now got 9, 8, 7 looking at these 3 squares. These can't be 9, 8 or 7, so there's a 9, 8, 7 triple in the corner of the box, and 2 of these squares are grey. This is lovely. So can either of those 2 squares be 7? No, they can't, because that will put an 8 or a 9 next to them in a white square. So the 7 must be in the white square. These 2 squares are an 8, 9 pair. The 9 fixes the order, 9, 8. The 8 fixes the... Oopsie, I made a ricket there. That's an 8. That's a 5. Does that do anything? 8's now shunted over to the right side of box 9. I can't see why that's a problem. 9 in this box. Remember 9... oh no, 9 can't go there. Hang on. Yeah, 9 in box 3. 9 by Sudoku is ruled out of exactly those squares. But 9 can't be orthogonally adjacent to a grey square, because you'd have to put 10 in the square. So it can't be there, and it can't be here. So where can 9 be? It's got to be in one of those 2 positions. So 9 is... lovely. So 9 is in one of these 3 squares in box 9. Well, it can't be next to a grey, so it's not in those 2. That square is a 9. It doesn't quite hit the 9s in box 8. 9 in box 7 has to be in the corner. And nobody's going to put 9 in the corner except us. Okay. 9 in this box? It's the same. 9 can be in the corner again. Right, okay. Well, that was a road that's gone nowhere. 8 in this box, maybe? 8, we've got... that's more interesting. Yeah, okay. This is something that we need to keep track of, I think. 8 are restricted as well regarding the grey squares, where the 9 can't help you out. So 8 can't go in these squares by Sudoku, but it can't go in those 2 squares, because if it's in either of those squares, you have to put a 9 in the grey cell next to it, and you can't. The 9 is over there. So 8 is actually in the grey in box 2, which I'm sure is very important. I just don't know why. We don't know anything about 9s in that one. Sorry about this. I think this is my lack of practice with Fortress Sudoku is shining through at the moment. 7's restricted up there? No, because 7 can go next to the grey square, because the grey square can be a 9. This box we haven't penciled. There's got to be a 5 in one of those squares, which is nice because you can't put 5 in either of those 2 squares, because the grey square would have to take a higher digit, and it can't. 9, 6, 7, 8 are all unavailable. So in fact, we could just write the 5 in there. It just did not occur to me to look for that at all. So these have to be lower than 5, which means in this box now the 6 is definitely in one of these 3 cells, and in fact it's not here because that's next to a 5, sorry. So the 6 is in one of those 2 squares, therefore it's not in these 2 squares. This square here has to be 1, 2, 3 or 4, I think. Okay. That square's got to be 1, 2, 3 and 4. Aha, there is something I'm actually proud of spotting, I think. Look at these squares here. Now these are an incredibly complicated quintuple. 1, 2, 3, 6 and 7. In fact, that can't be 7. But these squares have to be some combination of 1, 2, 3, 6 and 7. So what's this square going to be? The answer is it's 4. It can only be 4. And this is actually beautiful. If that's a 1, the question is, where do you put a 1 in row 5 now? The answer is nowhere. You can't put it in, because the 1 communicates through the medium of the 16 cage to rule out those 2, and these are all in the same box as the 1. So whatever you put in this square cannot appear in those 5 squares. And therefore you've got to ensure that what you put in this square has already appeared in row 5. And therefore this square, well, you can see it's got to be a 4, because it can't be a 5, because you can't put a 5 in a 16 cage. So that is a 4, which is rather gorgeous. That gets rid of 4s from there. It does nothing in that box, does very little in this box, and that is all for nothing. I get a 4 is what I get out of that. That is mean. Bastien is chuckling away to himself here. Right. Okay. So what is it? I really don't actually know where to look here. The 27 cage, is that... Maybe if this is small, is that a problem? Actually, look, hang on. You can't put an 8 in the 27 cage anymore. So let's think again about this. This 27 cage now can't contain 7 or 8. So 6, 5, 4 and 3 is the maximum I could put into those squares, and they must be 6, 5, 4 and 3, because 6, 5, 4 and 3 add up to 18. And 18 plus 9 is, here's a knowledge bomb from Cracking the Cryptic, 27. So that is the only way to get to 27. So this can't be 1 or 2. So these squares are 3, 4, 5 and 6 in some order. And we know that the 5 and the 6 have to be in these squares here. No, this is nice. This can't be 6, because if this is 6, what do I put into those squares? I've got to put 7, 8 and 9, and the 7 is unavailable. Oh, this is really clever. You can't put 5 there either, can you? If you put 5 here, how does that work? Well, now it looks possible at first glance, because you think, this could be a 6-8 pair. Well, it can't be, because the 6 is definitely in one of those two squares. It's not in the grey. So this square is not a 5 or a 6, and therefore it joins its friend, the 3, 4, and this is a 5, 6 pair. Which means surely that square, oh no, could that square be a 4? Because that could be a... I'm so bad at these. This square here, I was looking along here, I have 5, 6, 7 and 8. I was thinking this is probably a 9, and then I thought, oh no, it could be a 4, because this could be a 3 and that would be lower. But the point is that if that's a 4, that square is most certainly higher than it, so that's not going to work. So this square is a 9. Actually, that might be helpful. 9, yeah, that gives me a 9 up there. And it might do something for it. It means there's a 9 in one of two places in box 7. I was just wondering if that restricted the 8 at all, but I don't think it does at all, to be honest. It means that square can't be an 8, which it otherwise could have been, because now I can't put 9 here. Similarly with that square, but I think it's got to be in one of those positions. But all of those, I think, are possible. 8 up here. You can't put 8 there now, because that would need to be a 9. And if you put 8 there, that would need to be a 9. So the 8, I think... maybe the 8 is more restricted in this box then. Sorry, it can't be in those positions. It can't be here. And it can't be here. So 8, I think, is locked into one of two places. Which is good and all, but it's not enough, is it? Now this square has to be higher. It has to be higher than 6. Because it can't, if that's 5, it still has to be higher than 6, because 6 can only go there. So this square has to be 8. That is 8. Which actually fixes the order, sorry. Okay, so that gets me 2 more digits. 8 is now in one of those 3 squares. And it's not... Oh no, it could... No, it's not there. Okay, it's not in that one. Gosh, it's like I'm worrying away at these digits, trying to get some sort of traction. Now, hang on. Let's revisit this box. Where do 1 and 2 go in this box? You can't put 1 or 2 here, because this square is definitely higher than a 1 and a 2. So there's a 1-2 pair in box 2. Now, and yeah, okay. So now this square has to be 4, doesn't it? Because this is a 3-4 pair, and this is obviously the higher digit. So that's a 4, that's a 3, that communicates via there to this 4. That's not 4. This isn't 3. This isn't 3. There's a 4 over on the left-hand side of box 8 here. And seven is now more restricted in box 1. How on earth do you put together a puzzle like this? I would love to know. The 7 now, look, can't go there. Because if the 7 is here, I've got to put 8 or 9 in the corner. And I can't. The 8 and the 9 are in those positions. So the 7 is in one of these two cells. And therefore we get a 7 in box 3. We get a 7 on the right-hand side of box 9. Now this can't be 8 anymore because that would require this to be a 9, so we get one more restriction here. It's like pulling teeth, I know, I'm sorry. Now, have we cracked the puzzle open? The answer is... 7 in row 5 has to be in one of these squares. 8 now in box 8 has to be in one of 3 positions. But it can't be there. That's interesting. It can't be here because I can't make all 3 of those squares equal to 9. So the 8 actually, look, that's an 8-9 pair now we've got in box 8. Now does that do something for us? 2, 3. It means 7 now. Oh yeah, gorgeous. Where does 7 now go in this box? Everything is so intricate. 7 can't go in here by Sudoku. Now the question is whether 7 can go in either of these squares. Well, if the 7 is here, we'd have an 8-9 quadruple in the box. That's most certainly impossible. If the 7 is here, these 2 squares would both have to be 8 and 9, and that would be 3 cells that had to be 8 and 9 in the box. So the 7 must be in the grey, which means that's not a 7, look. So that gives us a 7-8 pair over on this side of the grid. The 8's now locked. I can see the 8, look, in box 8 and box 9. The 8 is definitely not in row 8 of the grid. So where are we going to put the 8 in row 8 of the grid? Can't go in these 3, can't go in these 3. It must be in one of these 3, and these 2 squares mean it must be here. So we get another digit. Is the 7 now restricted in here? Yes, it. Oh, this is lovely, actually. No! Ah! No, it's not. I thought it was because it can't go here anymore, because this square can't be 8 or 9. But actually, look, the 7 could go in there, I think, or one of these 2 squares. And I think all 3 of those are possible. No, I'm sorry, that is not how to crack the puzzle. So we've got a 5, 6, 7, 8 quintuple in row 3. So these squares are 1, 2, 3, and 4. That can't be 4. We've almost got a quadruple in column 9. Got to put 6 somewhere in column 9. It's only in one of 2 places. Not used this cage at all yet. Oh, actually, that is a little bit interesting. This is the cage I condemned ages ago for being useless. But 6, 7, 8, 9 are looking at this cell, which means this cell's maximum value is 5. Which does mean this square cannot be a high digit. That's got to be 1, 2, 3, and in fact all of these have got to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can see that one can't be 4. 2, 3, 4. Now this square on the other hand has a little bit more flexibility. This can't be 9, 7 or 8, but it can be 6. So if this is 6, this has a maximum value of 5, and it can't be 3 or 4, so that one is more restricted. That's 1, 2 or 5. 2, 5. So this square, 5, 4, 3, 5, 4, 3. Ah, I see. Right, sorry. This cage is now important because this square, look, can't be 9, 7 or 8. It has a maximum value of 6. So the question is it possible this is anything other than 6? And the answer is no, it has to be 6, because if this is anything else, let's make it 5, for example, the maximum I can make these 4 squares is 5, 4, 3 and 2. 5, 4, 3 and 2, assuming I got my maths right, is 14. 14 plus this cell has to get to 24. You can see it's impossible, therefore. So this is 6, which means that's which gives us the 6 in row 5 now. Oh, right. So now, or maybe this has been there for, no, it hasn't been there for a while. Now this square has to be 5 by Sudoku, which is important, I think, because that means I get the 5 and the 6 here. That means there's a 5 in one of those 2 squares. It means the 6 must go here now in box 8. So this is not 6. I mean, Bastien it's ridiculous how clever he is. Look what this does now. This square now, this is going to have a massive impact on the 24 cage, because once this square can't be 6 now, its maximum value is 5. That's not a knowledge bomb. I agree, that's not a knowledge bomb. But it means this square now cannot be 5. So this square, all of a sudden, these 3 cells are much... Well, the maximum they can be is 9, 4, 3 and 2. 9 and 6 is 15 and 9 is 24. This is now maxed out, and that is that's unbelievable setting. I mean, imagine including or incorporating this deep into a solve. You've already had to have the ideas around this 34, this 27, this 16, and now I'm just lost for words, really. This square there, well, this square isn't the important one. The important thing is the only way this 24 cage works now is if I max out every option. 9 here, 4 here, 3 here, 2 here, 1 here, 7 here. That's an 8 now. Now, presumably, he says that's going to be important. Please let it be important. 7... We can remove 1, so we get a 2, 3 pair here, so this square's a 1. That 1, look, goes via the 16 cage. Actually, this square now is a naked single, that's a 2. That's a 1. Therefore, this square here is a 2. That's got to be a 3. This 2 sees this square via the 16 cage, so that's a 3, that's a 3, that's a 2, that's a 1, that's a 2. These 2 squares down here have got to be 1 and 5. Well, I know where the 1 is not going. It's not going in the grey, so that's a 5, that's a 1. We've now done the central cross of the grid, look. We've done all of these squares, which feels like, well, feels like we've done a good thing. Now, we've got 6, 7, 8, 9 there. This square has to be higher than 4, so it's a 5. 5's got to be in one of those squares. 9 is now in the corner, look, there. Have I done all the 9s? That looks like I have. I have done all the 9s. I have not done all the 8s. This 8 fixes the 8 over this side, look. 8 goes there, so 7 goes there. That fixes the 7, good. 7s are not done. This 7 is the last 7. So we've done 9, 8 and 7, 6s. Oh, we haven't done many 6s at all, but that does highlight where the 6 goes in box 9. Thank you, computer. That's a 6. This is now a 5, 6 pair, look. Whoops, 5, 6. These 2 squares look like they're a 3, 4 pair. Let's just, yeah, we can do them as well. 3, 4. So these are a 1, 2 pair, which is not yet resolved. These are 2, 3 and 4 in some order. 5, 6 here. This 2 is ruling out a 2 from this square. I'm sure there are loads of more efficient ways of doing this. I've now got a 1, 2 pair in this column. So this square here has to be 3. Can't quite see how that resolves. These squares along here have to be 1, 2 and 6. So that's a 2 or a 6. This is 1, 2 or 6, but it's definitely not 9. What am I missing here? Let's look at this column. 1, 3 and 5. 3. I can only put 3 in one position in this column. That's 3. That places the 5, places the 1. That 1 is going to be lovely. 1, 2 go into the grid. 2, 4, 1. That plonks a 4 over here by Sudoku, I think. This square here has got to be a 2. That fixes the 6, gives me a 1 in this cell. So these squares now are a 2, 4 pair. And we can do the order. And in this box we need 3, 5 and 6. I'm hoping that's going to lead to that being... look at this. He's just showing off now. He's just showing off this final symmetrical arrangement of grey cells disambiguates this possible deadly pattern. Now ordinarily without this grey cell there would be 2 solutions to the puzzle because you wouldn't know which way round the 5s and 6s go. Here we do know which way they go because this square has to be higher than this one. So that's a 6, that's a 6, that's a 5, that's a 5. Click check. Yes. It's just genius. It's just genius. There's no better adjective. I loved it. It made me feel very stupid. Let me know in the comments how you got on, and thanks so much for watching. Oh, and do try and get us up to that Patreon target, and thanks so much to those of you who supported us over there. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.